everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of the topic Apocrypha. Now, as stated in the introduction video, this part is entitled Why the Apocrypha Isn't in the Bible. So we'll go through the specific passages as proof. Number 1. Basis for the doctrine of purgatory. 2 Maccabees 12:41-45. All men therefore praising the Lord, the righteous judge, who had opened the things that were hid, betook themselves unto prayer, and besought him that the sin committed might wholly be put out of remembrance. Besides, that noble Judas exhorted the people to keep themselves from sin, forasmuch as they saw before their eyes the things that came to pass, for the sins of those that were slain. And when he had made a gathering throughout the company to the sum of 2,000 drachms of silver, he sent it to Jerusalem to offer a sin offering, doing therein very well and honestly, in that he was mindful of the resurrection. For if he had not hoped that they that were slain should have risen again, it had been superfluous and vain to pray for the dead. And also in that he perceived that there was great favor laid up for those that died godly. It was unholy and good thought, whereupon he made a reconciliation for the dead, that they might be delivered from sin. Basically, 2,000 pieces of silver were sent to Jerusalem for a sin offering. See 45, part C. Whereupon he made reconciliation for the dead, that they might be delivered from sin. Clear basis for purgatory here. And these professing Torah keepers and Hebrew roots want to accept this as canonical in the scripture? Are you kidding me? These scriptures given below clearly refute this. There is no man on earth, or woman or child, that can intercede for a lost man who died in their sins and are in hell today. False doctrine. Second point, salvation by alms. Ecclesiasticus 3:3-30. Whoso honoreth his father maketh an atonement for his sins. Wow, interesting. Water will quench a flaming fire, and alms maketh an atonement for sins. Oh, does it really? Talbot 12:8-9. Prayer is good with fasting, and alms and righteousness. A little with righteousness is better than much with unrighteousness. It is better to give alms than to lay up gold. For alms doth deliver from death, and shall purge away all sin. Those that exercise alms and righteousness shall be filled with life. Refuted. Atonement by blood shed. See the scriptures given. Also, 14 times alms are referred to in the New Testament, and not one time does it ever teach it delivers from death and cleanses sin. Also see these scriptures given below. Nowhere in the Bible, Old or New Testament, does it ever say that alms can cleanse from sin. Once again, and people want to claim that this is scripture? Number 3, magic is taught. Talbot 6:3-8. Then the angel said unto him, that's interesting, an angel said this? He said, take the fish, and the young man laid hold of the fish, and drew it to land. To whom the angel said, open the fish, and take the heart, and the liver, and the gall, and put them up safely. So the young man did as the angel commanded him, and when they had roasted the fish, they did eat it. Then they both went on their way, till they drew near to Ecbatane. Then the young man said to the angel, Brother Azarias. So the angel's name is Brother Azarias? I never heard of that angel. To what use is the heart, and the liver, and the gall of the fish? And he said unto him, touching the heart and the liver, if a devil or an evil spirit trouble any, we must make a smoke thereof before the man or the woman, and the party shall be no more vexed. As for the gall, it is good to anoint a man that hath whiteness in his eyes, and he shall be healed. A blind man, if he were reading a Braille Bible or listening to an audio Bible, would see that this is clearly endorsing sorcery. Again, refuted by Scripture. See these scriptures given. Also, the Old Testament says, suffer not a witch to live. Do you remember when Aaron's sons offered strange fire unto the Lord and God killed them? I wonder if they were doing sorcery. and doing as the verse said, making a smoke thereof before him. Interesting. Point 4. A woman was born not defiled, possible immaculate conception. Wisdom of Solomon 8:19-20. For I was a witty child, and had a good spirit. Yea, rather, being good, I came into a body undefiled. So somebody can be born into a body that's not defiled? Since when is any person on this earth who's ever lived after the fall of Adam and Eve are the exception and have a perfect nature and body? They don't. Refuted by Scripture. Babies are born sinners. See these listed. Point 5. The Apocrypha contains offensive passages. First off, slandering women. Ecclesiasticus 25:19-24. All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. Really? Are you serious? So all the wickedness of the world is but little, compared to the wickedness of a woman. Really? Verse 24. Check this out. Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. That's a lie. Ever read Romans 5:12-18? It was through man that death and sin came into the world, not by woman. Now it does say in Paul's writings that the woman was in the transgression, but Adam was the head of the woman. Adam was the head of Eve. So, he was in charge. He could have very easily said no to Eve. But he chose to eat the forbidden fruit. That's his fault. This is clearly contrary to what Scripture teaches. Next, being happy at the stumble of the enemy. Ecclesiasticus 25:7. There be 9 things which I have judged in mine heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that hath the joy of his children, and watch it, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. Well, that's definitely against Scripture. Ever read Proverbs 24:17-18? Rejoice not when your enemy stumbles, because it will displease the Lord, and he will take his hand away. Next, a daughter born is a loss. Ecclesiasticus 22:3. An evil-nurtured man is the dishonor of his father that begat him, and a foolish daughter is born to his loss. Nowhere in Scripture does it ever teach that a daughter is born as a loss to a man. Like she's a bad omen. Or, if I may say this, bad karma or something. That's stupid. That's nowhere taught in the Bible. Next, the commandment to cry and mourn for the dead. Ecclesiasticus 22:11-12. Weep for the dead, for he hath lost the light, and weep for the fool, for he wanteth understanding. Make little weeping for the dead, for he is at rest, but the life of the fool is worse than death. 7 days do men mourn for him that is dead, but for a fool and an ungodly man all the days of his life. Alright, so we have contradictions in this passage. First, he gives a profound, bold commandment. Weep for the dead. And he also says to weep for the fool. But then he says in the middle of the verse, oh, but make little weeping for the dead. Okay. Then verse 12 says, 7 days do men mourn for him that is dead. Okay, weep for the dead, bold statement, but then make little weeping for the dead. Oh, but 7 days you have to weep for him. Okay, well, which is it, you numbskull? Is it a little weeping, or is it for 7 days? This passage is clearly self-contradicting. Doesn't make any sense. Nowhere in Scripture does it say we have to weep for the dead. In fact, when one of the men came to Jesus and said, I will follow you, but first let me go and bury my father, you know what Jesus said to him? Did Jesus say, "Oh, okay, well, take as much time as you need to weep for your dead father, but then come follow me afterwards"? No, he said, "Let the dead bury their dead." He didn't care if his father died. If you think about it, Christ was not as sympathetic as you were taught in the modern apostate, so-called fake Christian churches. He wasn't. Next, envy of Satan brought death into the world. What? Wait a minute. Well, first let's read the passage, because this is too hilarious. Wisdom of Solomon 2:24. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, and they that do hold of his side do find it. Again, read Romans 5:12-18. But also see, it contradicts point A about slandering women in Ecclesiasticus 25:19 and 24. It says, all wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Okay? Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. But in Wisdom of Solomon 2:24, it says, nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world. So which is it? Is it of the woman or is it of the devil? It can't be both. Wow. And people want to trust the Apocrypha to give them enlightenment on Scripture? Don't fool yourself, buddy boy. The last two here. Children of sinners have no hope. Wisdom of Solomon 3:16-18. As for the children of adulterers, they shall not come to their perfection, and the seed of an unrighteous bed shall be rooted out. For though they live long, yet shall they be nothing regarded, and their last age shall be without honor. For if they die quickly, they have no hope, neither comfort in the day of trial. There is a set damnation for children of adulterers. They have no hope. For though they live long, yet shall they be nothing regarded, and their last age shall be without honor. If they die quickly, they have no hope. So it doesn't matter. I mean, if a child is born of an adulterer, then that child is damned. That child has no hope at all, and they will be rooted out. So God has already set the destination and the destiny for these children damned, and we have no hope for salvation at all. This is clearly heretical nonsense. Romans 7:9-11 and chapter 9, verse 11. Read those passages. God has never punished a child for the sins of their fathers. Lastly, old age plus gray hair equals wisdom. That's one of the assumptions among many of the so-called elderly, that just because somebody is old, they have gray hair, that means they're wise and they should be rendered a person of honor. Not true. In the Apocrypha, Wisdom of Solomon 4:9 says, but wisdom is the gray hair unto men, and an unspotted life is old age. Contrary to Scripture, read Ecclesiastes 4:13. Alright, brethren, so that's all for this part regarding showing by the passages of the Apocrypha why it's heretical and not trustworthy to be sound doctrine. Now, once again, the Apocrypha may be used for historical significance, but not as Scripture, doctrine, righteousness. So part 3 will be about why it is rejected by certain people. So stay tuned for part 3.